Maria had always dreamed of living away from the noise and chaos of the city. After a painful breakup that left her feeling lost, she decided to take a step back from everything she knew. She found a job at a ranch far from the crowded streets, hoping to find peace and clarity. The small town she moved to was quieter, and everything felt different. It was a world of open skies, vast fields, and the scent of fresh earth. She wasn't sure what she was expecting, but the ranch was nothing like the life she had known. She stepped off the bus and looked around. The buildings were older, the roads were dirt, and the people walked at a slower pace. Maria was used to fast-paced city life, where everything moved quickly and there was always something happening. Here, time seemed to move differently, as if the earth itself was taking its time to breathe. Her heart raced as she realized just how far from home she was. The ranch she was working at was owned by Jack, a cowboy with a reputation that echoed through the small town. Maria had heard about him before she arrived. Everyone talked about Jack. He was known for his strength, his quiet nature, and his ability to work the land like no one else. Some people said he was difficult to understand, while others claimed he had a soft side that only a few could see. Maria didn't know what to expect, but she had heard enough to be curious. When she first saw Jack, he was exactly what she had imagined: a tall, strong man with rough hands and a weathered face from years of working under the sun. He didn't smile much, and his gaze was always intense, as if he was thinking about something far away. Maria could tell right away that he wasn't the kind of person who showed emotions easily. It was like there was a wall around him, one that no one had been able to break down in years. Her first day on the ranch was overwhelming. There were tasks to be done, animals to care for, and a whole new way of living to get used to. She was used to managing office work, sitting behind a desk, and making decisions with her computer. Now, she was out in the open, working with animals, cleaning stables, and learning how to ride a horse. Everything was hard, and Maria was exhausted. She wasn't sure if she was cut out for this kind of life, but she refused to give up. Jack watched her from a distance, his sharp eyes always on her, but he never offered much help. He was a man of few words, and Maria quickly realized that asking him for advice was like asking a rock for guidance. He expected her to learn things on her own. At first, it frustrated her. She wasn't used to doing things without clear instructions. But as the days passed, she began to appreciate the challenge. It forced her to think for herself and rely on her own strength. There were moments when Maria felt like giving up, when her body ached from the hard work, and she wondered if this was all a mistake. But every time she thought about leaving, she remembered why she came here in the first place: to find peace, to heal, and to discover who she really was. Slowly, she started to find a rhythm. The ranch became less foreign, and the work less intimidating. The animals began to trust her, and she started to feel like she was part of something bigger than herself. During this time, Jack remained a mystery. He never spoke much to her, but his presence was always felt. There was something about him, something strong and steady that made Maria feel safe in a way she hadn't in a long time. His silence spoke volumes, and though he was a man of few words, his actions told a different story. She noticed how he treated the animals with such care, how he took time to fix things when they broke, how he worked tirelessly without complaining. There was a deep sense of responsibility in him, as if he had learned long ago that life wasn't easy, but it was worth the effort. One evening, after a particularly hard day of work, Maria was alone by the stables, brushing down a horse. The sun was setting, casting a golden light over the land. She was tired, but there was a peacefulness in the air that made her forget about the aches in her body. She lost herself in the rhythm of brushing the horse, the gentle movements calming her mind. It felt good to be outside, surrounded by the land that was starting to feel like home. But then, out of nowhere, Jack appeared. He had been watching her, as he often did, from a distance. Without saying a word, he walked over to where she stood. Maria looked up, a little surprised. She wasn't used to him being so close. He had always kept a certain distance, like there was an invisible line between them that he was unwilling to cross. But tonight was different. Jack stepped closer, his boots crunching on the dirt as he moved toward her. Maria felt her heart race, not because she was scared, but because there was something about him that made her pulse quicken. His eyes were fixed on her, but she couldn't read the expression in them. They were intense, like he was trying to figure something out. Without warning, Jack reached out and took her by the shoulders. His grip was firm, but not rough. It was as if he was holding her in place, as if he needed to make sure she wasn't going anywhere. Maria froze, unsure of what to do. She wanted to pull away, but something inside her made her stay still. She could feel the heat of his touch through her shirt, and her mind raced. And then, before she could process what was happening, Jack kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't soft. It was passionate and forceful, as if he was trying to make her understand something without words. Maria's eyes widened in shock. Her breath caught in her throat. The kiss was so sudden and intense that she couldn't move, couldn't think. For a brief moment, everything went still. Her heart pounded in her chest, and her mind couldn't grasp what was happening. When Jack pulled away, he didn't say anything. He simply turned and walked off, leaving Maria standing there, her head spinning. She touched her lips, still feeling the heat of the kiss. Her mind was a whirl of confusion and emotions. Was this love, or was it something else? Was he showing her how he felt, or was he using her in a way she didn't understand? She wasn't sure. Maria stood there for a long time, lost in her thoughts. The world around her felt different now. She could still feel Jack's presence, even though he was gone. Her heart ached in a way she didn't expect. She wasn't sure what had just happened. But one thing was clear. She couldn't forget the way he kissed her. She wanted answers, but the more she thought about it, the more questions she had. Was this love? Or was it force? Was it something real? Or just a moment of desire? She couldn't tell. And she wasn't sure if she wanted to know. All she knew was that she felt something deep inside her that she couldn't explain. And for the first time since arriving at the ranch, Maria realized that maybe she wasn't as ready for the quiet life as she thought. Maria woke up the next morning feeling disoriented. Her heart was still racing from the events of the night before. The kiss so sudden, so intense kept playing over and over in her mind. She had always thought of herself as a rational person, someone who didn't make decisions based on emotions. But this was different. The kiss had shaken her in a way she wasn't prepared for. Was it just a fleeting moment? Or was it something deeper? She couldn't stop asking herself that question. The rest of the morning passed in a blur. Maria went about her work at the ranch, trying to focus on the tasks at hand. She fed the animals, cleaned the stables, and repaired the fences, all while the memory of Jack's kiss lingered in the back of her mind. Every time she looked up, she expected to see him watching her, his intense eyes fixed on her with that same mysterious look. But Jack kept his distance, just like he always did. He was out in the field, working with the cattle, his back turned to her as if nothing had happened. Maria couldn't help but feel a little frustrated. She needed answers. She needed to understand what had just happened. Why had Jack kissed her like that? Was it an accident? Or had he planned it? She wasn't sure, but she couldn't keep pretending that everything was normal between them. Later that afternoon, Maria found herself standing by the barn, trying to gather the courage to confront Jack. She didn't know exactly what she was going to say, but she couldn't keep quiet any longer. Her heart was pounding in her chest as she walked toward the field where Jack was working. She could see him in the distance, moving with the calm precision of someone who had spent their entire life on a ranch. His movements were smooth, practiced, almost effortless. When Maria reached the edge of the field, she hesitated. She didn't want to interrupt him, but she knew that she couldn't keep ignoring what had happened. She took a deep breath and called out to him, "Jack." Her voice was shaky, but she tried to make it sound steady. Jack didn't turn around right away. He continued to work, his focus on the task at hand. But Maria didn't give up. She called his name again, this time a little louder. Finally, Jack looked up. His expression was unreadable as he wiped the sweat from his brow. "What's on your mind?" he asked, his voice deep and steady. Maria took a few steps toward him, her nerves making her legs feel like jelly. "We need to talk," she said, her voice trembling slightly. Jack raised an eyebrow, but he didn't say anything. He simply gestured toward a nearby bench where they could sit and talk. He didn't seem angry or annoyed, just quiet. Maria sat down first, her hands folded in her lap as she tried to find the right words. Jack sat beside her, keeping a little distance between them, his eyes never leaving the ground. Maria took a deep breath before she spoke. "Jack, about last night." She paused, unsure of how to begin. "I don't know what to make of it. I don't understand why you kissed me like that. It felt so intense. I just need to know what it meant." Jack was silent for a moment, and Maria couldn't read his expression. He stared at the ground, his jaw tight, and for a second, she thought he might not say anything at all. But then, slowly, he looked up at her, his eyes soft but serious. "It meant something," he said quietly, "but I don't know how to explain it." Maria felt her heart flutter in her chest. "What do you mean? Was it just a kiss?" Or, she stopped herself, unsure of how to finish the sentence. Jack let out a sigh, running his hand through his hair. "I've been through a lot in my life, Maria," he began, his voice low. "I've learned not to get too close to people. I've built walls around myself, and I don't know how to break them down. But when I kissed you, it wasn't just a kiss. It was more than that. I've been fighting this pull, this feeling I have for you, and I couldn't keep ignoring it anymore. But I don't know how to deal with it." Maria was silent for a moment, trying to process his words. She had never heard Jack speak like this before. There was vulnerability in his voice, something raw and unguarded that she hadn't expected. "But why didn't you tell me this before?" she asked softly. "Why did you push me away? Why did you act like nothing was going on?" Jack looked away, his expression full of regret. "I don't know how to show my feelings, Maria. I've never been good at that. All I've known is hard work and silence. I didn't think I could ever let someone in. But with you, it's different. You make me want to try, even though it scares the hell out of me." Maria's heart softened as she listened to him. For the first time, she saw a side of Jack that no one else had seen. The tough exterior, the quiet demeanor, it was all just a mask. Underneath it, there was a man who was afraid to love, afraid to let someone close. Maria understood that fear. She had been afraid, too, after her breakup. She had built walls around her heart, thinking it would protect her. But now, sitting next to Jack, she realized that maybe she wasn't the only one who had been hiding. "I don't want to be scared anymore," Maria said quietly, her voice trembling slightly. "I don't want to keep wondering what it means when you kiss me, or what's going to happen between us. I need to know if this is real, Jack, if you really care about me, or if it's just something else." Jack turned to face her, his eyes full of emotion. "I care about you, Maria, more than I've cared about anyone in a long time. I can't promise that it's going to be easy or that I'll always know what to do, but I want to try. I want to see where this goes." Maria felt a weight lift off her chest. She hadn't expected an answer like that, but it was the one she had been hoping for. She didn't need perfection. She just needed honesty. And Jack had given her that. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was peaceful, as if both of them had finally said what they needed to say. Maria smiled softly, feeling the tension between them slowly fade away. Maybe things weren't going to be easy, but they didn't have to be perfect. They just had to be real. Jack reached out, his hand resting gently on hers. His touch was warm, reassuring. Maria looked up at him, and for the first time since she arrived at the ranch, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. The ranch was still a world of hard work and challenges, but now it felt different. It felt like a place where love could grow, slowly but surely, in the quiet spaces between them. Maria wasn't sure what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain: she wasn't going to run from it anymore. She was ready to take the next step, whatever that might be.